Yo, it's a public holiday, messing around before I get to the pub. I just wanted to show you guys how the animation suite is going with this guy. Also mucking around with loads of other stuff. But we'll have videos of that at some point. But check this out. So I've been putting up a lot of shorts with different gestures that are available to the large language model that's hooked up to this guy. So gestures banks that are hooked up to tooling, and then they can just get called in context according to the kind of conversations I'm having, or whether I'm asking for kind of explicit commands. But I've got everything hooked up to this guy. So I've got a library of gestures that I can play back to just check how they're going. One of them we've seen already is stick 'em up or reach for the sky, or there's all different kind of context that's attached to that with kind of type hint annotation and so on at the kind of code level. But if I click this button, this is based on feedback that we saw in the comments. Someone was like, well, maybe it's just easier if you scroll instead of doing a long press. We could see that it was like really problematic for me to actually scroll through. But if I just press this button, you can see a fairly smooth animation of him being stuck up, or me telling him to hold up, or if I ask him, you can see that he's actually going to his home stance as well. So we got this kind of safe home stance for him to get to. If I go to wave hello, again, this is something I'd be like, yo, say hello to everyone. Or if I just say hello to him in general, he has that available in his tooling to call according to the kind of context the language model perceives. And then what's really cool is during those gestures, there's also kind of parallel functionality for the LLM to kind of just decide what it wants to say at the same time. So there's that kind of complexity and that kind of almost chaos, as we've seen, as he's said some pretty stupid stuff. But if we go to exit, I've got the motors hooked up now. You can see I've got this guy out because what this guy is kind of clacking about, like the gears or the teeth, doesn't sound very good. So I think I'm going to move to these old tracks, and they're really sturdy and cool anyway. But let's have a look at what I've been doing. So basically, if you open up this guy, he's going to accelerate, and if you turn the wrist, then it's going to move. So let's see what that looks like before I hook it up to this guy, and hopefully I'll have a short available for you guys today to see what that looks like hooked up to this DC motor feather wing, which is kind of stacked beneath the PCA servo board, this Adafruit guy that I put a massive capacitor on that we saw the other day, which is all hooked up to the I2C, or the I2C bus at the so bus 7 at the I can never say the right combination, the NVIDIA Super Nano Orin, the NVIDIA Orin Nano Super. I'm pretty sure that's the right way around. So we're hooked up there, and we've got this DC motor board, and we've got this servo board, and then just like kind of rerouting power places, and then this RC battery. So let's have a look at what that looks like with the motor. Let's save. Oops. You can see again, this UI has a lot of work to do. Okay, motors. You can see I can just accelerate, or I can go to really slow, and then I can turn. Remember, see, that guy is like, that's a really annoying sound. The other one's really smooth. So I'm going to pull the bass off. Luckily, this is designed to kind of transport while I'm prototyping, and then move him over to this guy while I have a look. But we'll probably end up stuck here anyway. Now we've got this kind of transportable bass. Yeah, and I'm basically using this as an extension to this leader arm. So we got this lerobot leader arm. I just needed some extra functionality. This is just a LilyGo T embed, which is like an ASP32S3, kind of like this guy. But there's some extra stuff like a sub 1 gigahertz transceiver and so on for like sneaky hacking stuff, but we're using it because we're interested in this rotary encoder, and just a custom bit of firmware that just this simple execution functionality. And like I said, or like you've seen in videos, so the reason we have the ability to play back these movements is because I'm basically, so if I just exit out, we can actually click to go to home if we wanted to as well. So to the home stance, just a safe stance. Each one of these movements, so say for instance, if I'm in the head, I'm moving this guy around, I can put together an animation and then I can add it to the buffer. Obviously move him around. Oops. Right? And then I can go and do something else, like with the right arm and so on. I can record that and add that. And then all I need to do is merge to save. It'll save it to file, and then I can rename that according to what animation I want it to be. I'm not going to do it now because I've got only one arm and it's not going to look great. But the result of that is then what we see in the library. So again, if I can just reach for the sky. So it's all coming together really nice. It's really smooth putting this together. And I'm yet to test out doing the motor part merged with all these different movements. So I can basically isolate this arm, I can isolate the head, I can isolate the motors, and then I can have this kind of whole gesture, right? Or I can have him spin on the spot or rev his engines, all these different ideas, and which will then attach to, with that conversational style we saw before. So coming along, hopefully we'll see this very soon. I'm keen to get this done today before the pub. We got to know our priorities, right? And I'll speak to you all very soon.